Hello everyone and welcome to another fantastic episode of the Photography Pubcast. And we got a lot in store tonight. I haven't got a clue. We'll just see how it goes on. What a wonderful week it's been though, gentlemen, eh? What wonderful weather. How is everyone? Mally, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Very good, thank you, James, sir. Very good.
Very good, very good. What have you been up to this week?
Nursing my
Been
ankle.
falling over or?
Just nursing my ankle. Taking pictures of telegraph poles in the wind.
And was it shaking?
It's like someone strumming a guitar string.
You mean the wires, not the actual pole itself?
Yeah, the
that
pole and the wires, and then clouds just...
Oh, that's creativity.
He started really early.
Yes,
this is not in the boat. We're like less than 2 minutes in, and Mally's all gone psychedelic. What's going to be on the 55th minute?
Just don't mention trees, for Christ's sake.
No.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that.
Have you paid her a recent visit in the last few days? Or?
I've not been out since before the ankle.
Have you not been out since?
BA. I've not been out. BA. Just shocking. And
Is it any better at all?
It's full of blood now, and you don't want to know.
We don't want to know. No, not a lot of details. Yeah. Okay. So we've been chatting online, haven't we, gentlemen? As we
have.
About well, we won't talk about that. No, we've been talking about weights of our bags. Now, depending what type of night it is, depends how low or high our bags are. Mainly on a Friday night, the higher. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go around the audience and I'm going to ask you all, what is your bag weight, including all your camera gear and vlogging gear, water, food, etc. Has everyone got the numbers ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Gary,
Yep.
go for it.
In what, kilos?
Oh, make it pounds?
Pounds, all right.
Pounds.
21.6 pounds.
That seems light.
That's
Well done.
light.
But bear in mind, Gary, you don't go on hikes, do you?
No.
You don't go on long hikes.
No.
So I would have thought your water and food would be fairly low, am I right?
I don't take any water in really with me, so
don't you?
no. It maybe a small bottle, but generally no. So in that 21.6 pounds, literally one camera, 3 lenses, tripod, some filters, my GoPro, and my gimbal, and my sound recording equipment. That's it.
All right, so Gary, you're 21.6.
Call it 22.
Call it
Yeah,
22.
we'll call it 22.
All right, Darren, what about yourself?
I'm at £31.
That's more like it.
That is without any water. So in there I've got my bag. I've only got 2 lenses. Obviously my camera body, but then my tripod is quite heavy, and then my vlogging camera, the M6, and I've got the tripod that goes with that hooks on, and then obviously I've just got the standard set of filters, and then I've got a few lens cleaners, a little bottle of fluid, but that is it. There's
Looking
nothing
at grams, aren't you,
there's
really?
there's
Filter,
nothing
really.
in that. I have looked at it. I mean, I've got 3 lenses, and I only ever carry 2. And I look in that bag sometimes, and I think, this is so heavy. What can I take out? And there is nothing in that bag that I don't use every time I go out. So so I'm at 31. But if you added a few bottles of water and a little flask of coffee that I always take, I'm probably up near 34, 35.
Okay. Well, that's similar to me, actually. Not similar to me, but we'll move on next. Okay, Jamie, what about your good self?
I am at 25. So I've got the 5D Mark IV. I've got 3 lenses in there. I've got my filter system. That includes my M50 as well, and bits and pieces, as Darren said. But then I've added the weight of Winston on the side as well. He weighs £6, the fat sod. So him hanging on the side, that comes to 25. So I think compared to Darren, I'm quite surprised, because I thought I'd be about the same weight as you, but it seems that I'm not. Then now that doesn't include. I haven't added anything for water. So yeah, probably water on top of that will bring it up another pound or so. But I don't hike. Yeah, so I'm obviously on the flat fence. So I don't need to be necessarily light when I'm walking because I'm out the car and I'm literally within a composition within 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So I haven't really got to watch the weight too much. On my own, of course.
I think what the main difference in what Darren has is the bag as well. You got the same as me, Darren, and same as Mally as well. You got the Whistler.
Well, I've got the same as well. I've got the Whistler.
Oh, have you got the Whistler?
Yeah, I've got the Whistler as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got
Which
the
in
AW2.
itself, is it?
Yeah.
It's a fairly heavy bag, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's really surprised me then, because between me and you, Joe, that's £6 difference, and you've got 3 lenses and a DSLR.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big butties.
Right. Anyway.
What about yourself, Mally?
Well, I did an itemisation because I brought my scales.
Why's that, Mally?
I don't know. It's since this pubcast, maybe all the alcohol consumed in the past 2 months.
That'll be it.
But
Go on.
it started, didn't it? Because this idiot here thought, I'm going to sell my bag. It's too heavy.
Who
Let
said that?
let
Who
someone
suggested
else
that?
suffer. And turns out that bag's amazing,
Yeah.
but it's bloody heavy. So the bag is 3,100 grams, 3.1 kilograms. The bag with nothing in it, James.
Yeah.
And Darren and
Yeah.
Jamie, it's a bloody heavy bag.
But I tell you what, there's no other bag that has lasted 2 years for me, and I chuck it about on all the old weather stuff, the torrential rain. No other bag I previously purchased wouldn't even stand that. So
Wouldn't
yeah, it is
take
relatively heavy. But
Exactly. Well, when we got
Pay for it.
talking, like you say,
I convinced you, didn't I?
but there's no other
Don't
bag.
be listening to that, Dave. Don't be listening to him.
The main reason I got that bag was the weather.
No, we ain't got to a figure yet, Darren. No, we'll come to that.
No. So have we actually mentioned what bag we're talking about?
The
Yeah.
Low Pro Whistler AW2, but the new version.
450.
450 litre.
So I've got 350 and the original version.
So £36 I carry.
Jeez.
2.57 stone. And I can itemise that for you. Even down to my quick release plate, I've got 70 to 200, me D750, I've got my 16 to 35, a 50mm, my Spark drone, my Osmo 3, my GoPro 7, a power bank, batteries, filters, tripod, ball head, water and food.
And there's your what's in my bag video, mate. There you go.
Yeah, that was brilliant. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it's great.
I'll give it a thumbs up.
I'll give it down.
Have you got affiliate links?
I have, yeah. If you go to amazon.co.uk/Mally Photography.
/ give me your money.
Yeah. Right, David, go on then. Your turn.
Okay. So on a like-for-like basis, just walking out the door to go and take some pictures and make a vlog, £19, and that includes a 500ml of water or coffee or whatever. So 2 tripods, 2 cameras. So I got my main Olympus and the RX100, my main vlogging camera. That includes the drone and controller, Osmo Pocket, a little action camera that I use for time lapses, an Osmo mobile to stabilize my phone, and the usual bits and bobs, batteries, etc. So yeah, but on a like for like, just walking out the door to take pictures down the beach, £19. On a day hike, when I wouldn't go out the door without emergency gear, bivy bag, everything I might need to spend the night on the hill, £28. But I've also allowed water in that as well. So I'm including a litre of water in that. I'll usually filter water if I can find some, but if I can't, I'll usually be carrying at least a litre of water. So that's a kilo. So that's 2.2 pounds. If I'm doing a wild camp, oh, and by the way, my bags, I don't use heavy bags. Wouldn't dream of it. The bag is just something to carry air about in, unless you put stuff in it. So my basic bag is either my Peak Design sling or a little 10 bar 11 DNA, which weighs nothing. My main backpack is an Osprey 55 litre. It's a hiking backpack. And again, empty, weighs next to nothing. I mean, you're talking £2-3 maybe, something like that. So day hike 28. And then if I'm doing a camp, so tent, bedroll, sleeping bag, kit, total £34. But I've been doing it a long time, and I've spent money on as lighter weight stuff as I can. And I don't get as good a quality pictures as you guys because I've got a micro four thirds sensor. So there's all manner of compromises. No, I accept the compromise. It was my decision. I'm old and fat, and hauling even a crop sensor up a mountain was getting hard. So, you've got to cut your cloth to suit. So that's me.
Okay, so that's everyone. So, ask me myself. Very similar actually to Darren. So I've already covered my bag, which is the Lowepro Whistler 350. I carry two lenses, 16 to 35, 70 to 30, also a 50mm prime. Canon 5D Mark III DSLR, which is a brick in itself. Filters, about 3 different types of filters. Batteries. Tripod gets up, tripod, and also Manfrotto Big Element tripod for the video. M50 and the G7X Mark II for the video recording. Fully loaded with extra clothing, around similar to litre of water, litre and a half of water, coming in around £34-35.
So you and I are pretty much
very
bang
similar.
on.
Yeah.
James, can I just ask, have you done much in the way of camping, given your love of the felt?
None at all. And do you know what? I don't. It's something that me and Mrs. would have an argument about, because my Mrs. firmly believes that there's wild wolves still wandering around the lakes. This is what I'm up against. I would love to do a hike, but at this moment in time, it's out of the question.
Ow!
What are you joke?
It's funny that because my missus says that she won't go anywhere that doesn't have a plumbed in toilet.
So same as mine.
Yeah. So
Exactly
if it hasn't
the
got a
same.
plumbed in toilet, she's not interested.
Yeah.
We
Or showers.
Yeah. I was going to say actually, James, you were saying about your what you've got in your pack, and I noticed you said you've got a 16 to 35 and a 70 to 200.
Yeah.
Do you miss your 35 to 70 range at all? Do you not even?
No.
There's never been a point.
Never been a point. Well, I've got my 50 as well, remember? So that's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But for me, with the lens, the wide angle gives another dimension. I don't fancy a standard zoom because I want the wider view, something which isn't natural, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
the 50s.
Yeah.
And then I've got the longer end, 70 to 200. Just makes the images more interesting for me.
That's the only thing I miss with micro four thirds is that ultra wide angle, because I would have to buy a specialist lens. There is a rectilinear 7.5mm lens that I could get, but I have missed that from time to time. But I tolerate it because I can carry what I've got up a hill.
No, I was going to say about that question, because I've got the 3, so I've got the one in the middle, the 24 to 70, and interestingly enough, it's the least used lens for me.
Yeah.
And probably because of the reason that James said, I either want to go wide or I want to go telephoto. It's very rare that I go in the middle. The only time I probably do go in the middle is if I want to shoot a pano, and I want something roughly in the middle to get that sort of frame size. But I hardly ever use it, and it's a cracking lens, but it's probably the third one that comes out of my bag. It's the other 2 are there day in, day out.
It's fascinating, really, because that is the lens I use all the time. My 24 to 70 is my go-to lens, although I do shoot an awful lot of panoramic images, so that might explain why I use that lens. But I had a 17 to 40, not quite 16 to 35, but very similar, and I just couldn't get on with it. I hardly used it, ended up selling it.
You see, this is when I said that I've got 3 lenses, but I only carry 2. It's the 16 to 35 that I always leave out, just because of the weight. And I think, well, what do I really need?
Is that on the
I've got it-
mountains when you go hiking to Snowdonia, for instance? You leave the 16
Yeah,
to
because
35
I
out?
can't. I feel that I can't do without my telephoto lens. I use that a lot. The problem obviously now I've gone over to Sony, the 100 to 400, that is a lot heavier, that lens. You know, my little 70 to 200, the Canon, that was a lovely lens for hiking. It weighed nothing. So this kind of is a beast, but that is one of the lenses that I just couldn't leave out. So like Gary, I then rely on the 24 to 70 a hell of a lot. And then I think, right, well, okay, how much am I going to use the 16 to 35? I have to try and weigh it all up. You know, as Jamie was saying, on the flat, it's not too much of an issue. But, you know, you go on the fells and I go to Snowdonia with Dave, and I do have to look at it all, and I just think I've got to make a sacrifice, and that is the 16 to 35 for me.
I think the 16 to 35 was the first L series lens that I bought for my camera, and I love that lens, the sharpness of that lens, and I think that's probably one of the reasons I'll pick it up a lot, is because it was the first one that I used, and I thought, this is a cracking lens, so sharp. And then I think when I went to the 24 to 70, I'd got the option to go in the middle, but I thought, well, I don't really need to, because I like the sharpness of that one. And is the 24 to 70 going to be as sharp? No, it is, but it's all in your mind. I think once you've got a lens that you trust, and you know that you're going to get a sharp picture from it, I pick it up all the time.
So bear in mind that you're saying that you don't often use it then, Jamie. Have you considered selling it at all? Replacing it? Or?
No, because I want the option, really. And I think the fact that I've got the 3 is the set. So if I didn't have the one in the middle, I'd feel as though I'd probably then, want something to replace it.
I've heard that a lot. So I've heard that a lot, that you need to have the full range. But in reality, I don't think it's
No.
required.
No.
It's
That's
not.
what
I think people
you're
fall into
right.
that trap.
I was just going to say about the 70 to 200 and the 16 to 35 are both f4 as well.
Yeah.
So that's a lighter lenses, but they're so sharp, so sharp. I don't see the point in a 2.8 unless you're doing studio, or the f4 is amazing.
Sports or wildlife.
I didn't realise me and you had the same thing, and it was done like completely naturally for me. I always had a prime lens starting off on Pentax. I had a 35 and a 50mm, an old type Minolta 50mm. And it was my mate said to me, if you're going to be serious about photography, you need a prime lens in your bag. And of course, like mountains and getting out, walking about, that 16 to 35 and that step to 70 to 200, I think the 50mm encourages creativity. Now, having said that, I have considered getting the 24 to 70 as well. But I do like being wide. So I like being wide or intimate. So I don't think it bothered me that much, 24 to 70.
It's interesting. It's made me think, this whole, let's see what's in our bags discussion we've been having over the last few days. It's occurred to me, I actually have far more focus on my video equipment, because I've got 5 video camera options that always leave the house with me, and I've got me one little micro four thirds and one half decent lens, but I'm much more interested in my video stuff. It's really weird, and I kind of plow my own furrow when it comes to that sort of thing, because I wouldn't dream of lugging around a full frame DSLR and the Trinity, or 2 out of the Trinity. I couldn't do it. But if I didn't have my little Osmo Pocket with me, I'd thought, oh, bloody hell, I can't possibly make a vlog. I've probably got my priorities all wrong.
I think that's a good point with the video, though, isn't it? It's a good point, that I think that's what I was saying about the Lumix S1, is the versatility. If I'm going up a fell, to leave all that behind and just take that. But that's a lot of money for just going to some video, isn't it?
To create to create really interesting videos, I think you need to add another dimension and include as many different cameras as possible, because you're creating a video as opposed to creating one photo. You only need one type of camera. I mean, recently I've been taking 2 cameras, filming the same scene but a different angle. It just adds to the interest of that. So bearing in mind what you're saying there, David, it makes sense to me that you're adding more.
But at the moment, for me, because I've got the Canon G7X, which now I pretty much only use for a few kind of time lapses. And I've got the Canon M6, but then also I'm shooting video on my Sony in 4K. And that video that comes out the Sony is absolutely first class. But the problem I've kind of got now is when I'm mixing, the B-roll out the Canon and then the B-roll out of the Sony.
Yeah, you can see a difference.
Totally different.
I think
So then I think to myself, right, do I invest in the same camera as Dave just got? But then I also want to invest in the same tripod as you've got, and I also want to invest. And in the end, you just think this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? This is not a money-making object for me. This is a hobby. So where do you draw the line?
I think the thing is as well is the fact that we're saying that, or the fact that Dave's saying it's more about the video than the stills, belies or indicates that cameras have come to a point now where they're at a point. So you can take a good photograph on any camera up to probably about 3 or 4 or 5 years old now, whereas it's now more when you're looking to get creative with the video. That's when you start thinking about what camera you're going to buy, because do you want to shoot in 4K, 8K, 60 frames a second, 120, 240? Do you want portable? Do you want time lapses? But any camera now, probably from the 5D3 upwards, that era, will shoot pretty much the same type of quality of image. So we don't think about that so much anymore.
I like a dirty camera as well. David shoots with the little action cams, if I'm right. You still use them, David?
Yeah.
So I've kept one of them in my bag and I've set it to black and white. And I get it out, and sometimes it makes it in a vlog, sometimes it doesn't. But I find that an older, rough-ass camera can give a bit of a quality to a video.
A bit of character.
Yeah.
You last used it, didn't you, when we all went to Snowdonia?
Yeah, and it was great fun. And I was throwing it up in the air. And the footage of me kicking it and throwing it in the air was quite cool. And David sat on his little chair and then just handheld rough. It's interesting.
You see, now, that armchair was included in my weights, by the way.
Unreal.
Yeah.
But it makes
don't forget as well, when you're considering video on the camera, it's the lens. It's the lens at the end of the day. The DSLR, if you're going to use that to record video, you've got an option of in Canon's sense, an L series lens.
Yeah. Yeah. And the dual focusing with the Canon. That I still regret not getting the M50.
Oh, it's spot on M50.
There's still time.
Yeah, still time.
There's not. Where is she?
This is actually perfect for the question I wanted to ask, and it's led into it really well. I listened to Joseph Seeger. He does a podcast. I don't know if any of you other guys listen to it. I think
it's very good.
Yeah, it's very good podcast. Yes, and he's spoken about in the past, and he's spoken about it again on this podcast, about gear snobbery. And he's saying that you don't need necessarily the best lens to take the best shots. It's all about, you can take great shots with a kit lens. And I want to say, going to be, let's get some controversy and some argument in. I think that's an absolute load of rubbish. With all due respect to Joe, and I've got a lot of respect for him, and he does a brilliant podcast, and he's a good vlogger, but you can tell 100% if you've got a better lens on your camera and a better sensor on your camera, you are 100% going to get better images in terms of the image quality than you will with a cheap intermediate or beginner level camera stroke lens.
Depends what you're after, though. I quite like the dirty rough edge now and again. Again, it's what are you creating and who you're creating for. So if you're going out doing a street vlog, you could probably go out with a really battered, shove some jelly babies on the lens, and
because you can get away with that style, can't you? The grittiness,
gritty, rough ass. But if, like Darren, where he's saying about it, he sees the 4K coming off that Sony, it's very, very tempting. Oh, look at me, I'm beautiful, because it is. The footage is creamy. You stick a bit of f 1.8 or 1.4, you get a Sigma art lens on that.
Yeah.
Is Joe's point more aimed towards the composition side? If he's basing it on what is a good image, if he's capturing the light, the composition. So if that's the case, it's right. But if it goes to image quality, then it obviously
ability.
I absolutely think that he is correct if he's saying it's. If he was saying it's not about the camera initially, it's about the photographer, he's 100% correct. But there's a reason why, as you progress through your photography, and you can, if you can afford it, you buy better gear, and that's simply because you get better images with better gear, and you can't argue it. And the thing is, you get these guys. I've seen vlogs come out and say, "Can I still get great shots with a cheap camera?" And to me, that's a massive vanity project of people going, "Look how great a photographer I am because I can still get adequate shots with a
18
whatever."
to 55.
Yeah. But the truth of it is, if that were the truth, you wouldn't bother buying your Canon L lenses or your G Master Sonys or getting your full frame cameras and your expensive gear. You'd all shoot with a Canon 700D and a 18 to 55mm kit lens, wouldn't you?
Can I just say that what you're saying, Gary, is it's so strong in my memory. The jump from 18 to 55 or a Sigma 17 to 70 that I had, the jump, when I got my 16 to 35, I walked around for a month smiling because just...
Is that because of the lens, Molly, or something else?
Well, but the quality, just... I'd never experienced that. Take a shot when I got back. It was just exhilarating,
especially around the edges. Yeah, you can definitely tell.
Just unbelievably, just so good.
I had exactly the same thing. I went to Wales when I very first got into landscape. Like, I'm going to do it more seriously. I went to Wales. I had a Canon 70D, had the 18 to 135 kit lens. And I went off and I took some shots and I thought, these are really nice. And then luckily enough, won't really call it luckily, but I got some inheritance money in and I bought myself a second-hand 5D Mark III and the 24 to 70, and I went back to Wales and I took exactly the same shots and they blew me away with how much sharper they are, the detail, the depth of colour, everything about the shot was just an extra 100% better.
Good glass is the key.
It's fair to say that when you start out with photography, and by and large we're talking about landscapes here, you get your kit lens, you buy your camera body, and they say, oh, would you like an 18 to 140 or whatever the hell it is? You stick it on and you're quite happy with it and you're learning the ropes. It takes some time for you to start to notice the shortcomings of the glass. Yeah. But I have to say, I do agree with Gary, because I was at the point of dropping several £1,000s on new glass to go on my Nikon body. And it was at that point where I thought, hang on a minute, that's going to weigh 17 stone. It might be better to think about my options, because I tend to spend a lot of time on high ridges and they're difficult to get to. So at that point, the ability to say, okay, well, I'll buy a pro glass, but on a micro four thirds format, happy days. But you get to a point in terms of ability where you can compensate for the issues around kit glass. And there are quite a few images that I've produced in the last 6 months or so with kit glass, and nobody in a million years would know that it was kit glass unless I confessed to it. So I think it has its place, because at the end of the day, if you get beyond a basic ability and you learn how to get the best out of it, you can still fool the best of us. If you were faced with a number of images and you go, all right, which ones are the kit lenses, which ones are the pro lenses, you pays your money and takes your choice. But by and large, I think you're absolutely right, Gary.
Yeah, you're probably right there. In fact, I'm damn sure you're right there that you could fool a lot of people with your ability. But I bet you equally, if you sat there and you took that kit lens off and put a really expensive bit of glass on and took the same shot, that would blow that one with a kit lens out.
Oh yeah, it would. It would totally would. Yeah, you're right.
You've got to work harder though in post processing with that kit lens shot.
Yes. That's
Well, that leads on to quite a good point actually, because I've just discovered Topaz denoise, and I've never had to use it before. But obviously, because I've been shooting the wildlife with very high ISO, I found that I needed it, and there was a lot of comments coming in telling me to look at this product, and I'd already seen some wildlife videos where they use this Topaz. Now I'm talking about Topaz denoise, but they also do a plug-in which is Topaz sharpening. So what do you think? I mean, could you almost like get away, do you think? Because I've never tested it, obviously I don't really know, but could you almost use a kit lens and then use software to really enhance that photo?
You can't alter your focus though, can you? You can't make a image sharp if it's not sharp in the first place. So.
Well, this
Topaz can.
This Topaz does
Really?
do it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but the problem is, I've
Degradation.
got the Topaz Sharpen, and the problem is it's there's a real fine line between sharpening it and going way over the top.
Yes.
It's like one very small slider move, and all of a sudden it looks like you've shot it through like a stained glass window or something. It's madness. So yes, you can, but there's only so far you can go with any editing before it looks really over processed. So it's a fine line, I think.
What I find amusing though is all these photographers spend all these thousands of pounds on lenses and different cameras, but all their intention is to post images on Instagram.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're just viewing an image on a 5-inch screen. What the hell? What difference does it make? Can you really tell the difference in the image quality if that's all your intentions?
Is it a psychology thing for the
I
photographer?
think it is. It's a question of pride. It's a question of good feeling, the fact that you've got the better lenses and you spend all this money.
And it's confidence. It's a bit like my brother. He's got a Fender Strat. It's not a Japanese one. It's an American one. It's even got a lady. I forgot the lady's name. But it's even got a name of a female name. The guitar is registered, birth, everything. And year on year and year, that guitar keeps making, more money because it's an original Fender Squier guitar. But then the idea of having that, playing it, noodling, I guess it's a bit like expressing yourself. Same with the camera and a lens. You're confident in your equipment, you're gonna produce that. I remember that feeling of having a 17-70 Sigma. I can feel it in my gut. It was dirty. I had to work so hard with that lens. I had to really try on a D300 and then a D200 and a 6 megapixel D200 and then a D300S and then a Pentax prior to that. But it was just dirty hard work. It was graft. Especially in a commercial way. Can you take these pictures? I need 50 people photographing today. And you're there with this camera that's like 12 megapixel camera that shows every fault. And if you don't get it, I've said it before, taking pictures of people and they're like, they just look terrible. So you learn a lot. You do learn a lot with shit gear. But at the end of the day, I guess everyone has to go through that process. Would you go back to an 1855 and go out and shoot with it and say, yeah, do you know what? Great lens. Any one of you.
Do you know what? I wouldn't mind a bit of street photography. I wouldn't mind because it's nice and light. As I've said before, the quality of the image doesn't really matter with street photography because you want to introduce and inject a bit of grittiness, don't you? So
Look at Gary. Look at Gary squirming up there in the top left-hand corner.
Let him squirm.
I could see him try not to bite with that.
It does matter though. It doesn't matter necessarily in terms of the lens, but it does matter if you've got a cheap camera and you can't get that speed of focus. So if you've got a camera that's focuses really slowly, you're not going to get the shot anyway. So
do zone focusing. Stick an f8.
Yes, but the more expensive camera you've got, the better in general the focusing is going to be on it. So again, you say, I mean, look, actually, I carry a Sony A6000, which isn't very expensive at all, but I paired it up with a 50mm 1.8 lens, and it focuses like that. And that's what I want in my street photography. I don't care about whether it's a bit, soft around the edges, but I need it to focus quick on what I want it to focus on. And the Sony does that. If I even took my daughter's got a 700D. If I took the 700D out with the 18-55mm lens, by the time I'd focused it, the people would probably be gone.
You've lost me there. You've lost me.
No,
I
you
was
should.
just not
if you
snappy.
zone focus, if you zone focus, okay, I'm going to wait for this subject to enter my frame within a certain distance. Once they're in that certain distance, I'm going to fire away.
Yeah, but I don't
Why
shoot
are you not
like,
going to?
I don't shoot like that.
Style, isn't it? That's your
adapt.
style.
Yeah.
What Gary's saying, you're out there, your live action picture.
Yeah.
Someone's walking into a shadow. Boom! You want to hit focus.
I want that moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I've missed
Yeah.
loads of shots around Liverpool where I've been out trying to get street stuff with a camera that's not fit for purpose.
It's like I'm doing the bird photography now. I don't want to go back to wildlife again because I'm sure we're boring everyone with it. But I've paired up my Sony A6000 with my big lens, and now I can get 12 shots per second, whereas I could only get X number. And you can take that over to street photography, 12 shots per second, and pretty much if someone's wandering across the scene and they're going to get to the shadow, bang, I've got that moment. Or when their legs are just at the right sort of angle, I've got that moment. But if I'm shooting on the 700D, A, I might not have it focused by the time they've got there, and B, I can guarantee that it won't, I might not caught that exact moment. So it does matter.
How gutted is it? I went to Liverpool, I was in Chinatown, and there was this guy doing stuff at a back entrance. I walked down a back alley, a bit silly really, shouldn't have done it. But I thought, I'll be alright, forget mugged, be alright. I walked down in, there was this group of guys all getting food ready at the back of the Chinese, which I thought, surely that's not right. But it was a great shot, and I was like, boom, 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 boom. And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I just wanted to get a picture of you of what you was doing there." And I went over and spoke to him and said, "What is it you're actually doing?" And they explained that they was washing noodles. And I'm like, oh, "This is mad." I ended up talking to him for about an hour. But when I got home, I was like, "Oh, look at that on the back of the camera." I put it on the computer, and it's probably the best shot I've ever taken in my life. And it was out of focus. I was absolutely gutted because it was like, when you see the shadows and the light and then what they were doing and the water and steam, and I'm like,
Yeah. Talking about you worrying about going out. I went to you told me to go to what's it called, the Northern Quarter in Manchester, and after I'd been, loads of people, you don't want to go there. I'm like, look at the size of me. Do you really and you, Maddie? Look at us, right? We are big, scary-looking people. I don't think we've got anything really to worry about too much going out and doing a bit of street photography.
No, you're right there, Gary. Yeah, spot on that actually.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do any street.
I'll tell you what, though, people are a lot more friendly as well than you give them credit for. Generally, there's very few times I've ever been anywhere where I've been genuinely scared. And I've never been anywhere with my camera where I've been genuinely scared, other than the roaches at about 3 o'clock in the morning with all the noises going on. That scared me way more than going out anywhere when I was doing a bit of street photography. I can tell you.
I think it's people's anxiety, isn't it, when they're doing street photography. You don't know what that one person might do. It's always the back of your mind. Absolutely. I think that's the biggest trait, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not for me. I tried it once, with Gary in London, and I was quite pleased actually with some of the results that I got. I was actually quite pleased with the images, but I just felt nervous the whole time. And I know I've spoken to a couple of people that do street photography, and they said that does fade, that does go away in time. But for me, I don't know. I'm not comfortable shooting people.
I tell you,
anyway.
who's good. Gareth Danks is very good at the street. He has no anxiety whatsoever. Oh, he comes across having no anxiety when he does street photography. Yeah. Would you actually stop someone, a stranger, in the street and ask for their portrait?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I have done many times.
Never done it.
It's great fun.
It'll be fine.
Great fun. I love meeting people. It's fantastic. You can meet someone and they explode in front of you, and you can meet someone and they're just like, but most of the time people are really friendly, and they like, "Oh, what? So what are you doing? Where are you going after, mate?" And it just, Great.
This is the thing though, Mally. You're up north, mate. That's the thing. I'd ask anyone. I wouldn't hesitate to ask anyone in Leeds, Manchester, Liverpool, Sheffield, anywhere around there. Certain parts of down south. If you imagine going to like I'm trying to think of somewhere like Brighton or something. Say, excuse me, mate, do you mind? They'd be like, they'd look at you and laugh because they got people down south. They got no time to talk to you. It's like I remember loads of times going up north. I remember I was going for a job interview in Preston, and I went in the shop to buy something on the way, and I was nearly late for the interview because like, the amount of time that the woman behind the counter was chatting to me for. I was like, okay, I've got to go. Got to go. Got an interview. Got to go. But it's brilliant. Much better up north.
That's your animal magnetism.
Oh yeah, check me out.
But I've only done street photography one time that I admitted to, and the reason I don't do it routinely is because I'm terrible at it. But I was in London, some interesting looking guy sitting on a bench on the embankment. I went up to him and said, "Mate, you look really interesting sat there. Can I take your picture?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem at all." Now, I must admit, it just hadn't occurred to me, I'm south of the line from the Severn Estuary to the Wash. I better not ask somebody if I can take their picture. I was a bit naive, perhaps, but actually, it's not a bad image.
I've heard rumours of people in Camden, and they'll say, they'll see someone out doing a bit of street photography, and they'll say, "Oh, do you want to take my picture?" And then they'll take the picture and they'll say, "That's a £5." And
really?
And they kind of like, get a bit funny about it. And then you give them a £5, and then their mate comes along and says, "Oh, take my picture." And it's very much like that. But I think, I met a guy in Camden, lovely bloke, absolutely lovely, rapper, and he had all the time in the world to talk to me, and I found it very easy going. But I wonder if it's maybe because I'm a bit more look like maybe, don't mess with that guy. I might get away with it a bit more.
Not like when I was in Egypt and the guy came over to me and was like, "You're saying take me picture," and he just basically wanted to take my camera, my wallet, my fags, my wife, give me a camel.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I'm not.
One camel, but at least 3.
It sounds like a deal.
I said something along the lines of she's worth at least 10 camels, which brings me to a point. It's our wedding anniversary today, so.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
How many
Happy
years,
anniversary.
Nelly?
12.
How many?
Well, we've been
12
together
years.
20
Cheers.
years. Cheers.
What's
fella.
12? Is it cool? Was it?
Oh God, I don't know. Don't know what it is. I don't do that.
It's curry, man.
Curry tonight. Yeah, I'll do.
Pete's right.
But I had a little nick on, like, kind of just throwaway type thing, and I was taking pictures of the pyramids, doing, where you hold the pyramid on the top, all that kind of business. And this guy come over and he said, "Oh yeah, give me a camera, I'll take a picture of you and your wife." And I looked and I thought, I don't think I should really.
No.
And when I got back after, the guy on the coach, he said to me, "What was the policeman saying to you?" And I went, "Oh, he just wanted to take me picture." He said, "Did you give him your camera?" I went, "No." He said, "Good job. He would have took the camera off you and wanted 150 euros to give you the camera back." And I was blown away that the police would do that. Not just people, but the police.
Well, I mentioned last week about that Minolta camera that I had when I went on honeymoon to take pictures of all the fish. But I remember standing on the side of the beach, and there was like a jetty, so the water was kind of fairly deep, and there was and I was just blown away by all these marine fish, and I was just watching them. I used to go snorkeling, and I think I spent more time with the fish than I did with Helen on honeymoon. And I was still on this jetty, and there was a local guy there, and I said, "Oh, excuse me," I said, "that fish there," I said, "can you tell me what the name of that fish is?" And I thought he was going to come up with some sort of Latin name, something really long, and he said, "That fish is a black and yellow stripy fish." And I thought, I could have said that. So that fish was a black and yellow stripy fish.
I thought he was going to say Brian.
I thought he was going to say
Nemo.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say 150 euros.
Yeah.
This is 150 euros.
I thought I won't ask him any more fish. That's a blue one.
Yeah.
That's a green one.
I remember going to Barcelona, talking about robberies and things. We're going to Barcelona, and we were like, this is when I was on a lad's holiday, and we stayed in this place just off. I don't know if any of you know Barcelona, but you got like the main strip, which is called La Ramblas. And we stayed off it, and it was this place called it was like an area called El Raval, right? And we booked this accommodation. It was dirt cheap, and I was like, why is it so cheap? I don't understand why it's so cheap. When we got there, we realised we were staying right in the middle of the red light district in Barcelona.
So it wasn't all bad then.
Well, you didn't see the women, mate.
Rough.
We were like literally, you head up there with your suitcase, dragging your suitcase behind you, and they're all like, oh, so and all that, and you're like, no, we're all right, not interested, no, we're all right. And then you come back out, and they're like, oh, want a good time? You're like, no. And then after about maybe the third time you've walked down there, they're just like, yeah, and ignore you. But it was full of like.
I thought you was going to say, yeah, okay. Third time lucky.
It was full of addicts, like junkies. It was terrible. And I remember going out one night and getting absolutely wasted and coming back. And there's these two guys, and they come up to you, and one he puts his arm round my shoulder like this, and he's kicking my foot. And as he's kicking my foot, he's going, oh, David Beckham, footballer, great footballer. And he's putting his hand in my pocket like this as he's kicking my foot because he thinks I'm being distracted. And I'm like, honestly, mate, you can have this. It's a used rail ticket, please, for the underground. Please take it. No. Just kick it, David Beckham. And then he's like trying in my other pocket, and I was like, get out. And then in the end, but my mate got 150 euros stolen off him because he was wandering along. One guy pushed him into the back of another guy, and as he pushed him in, the guy dipped his pocket and took out 150 euros. So, dangerous places they are.
Walking down Las Ramblas, and as photographers, you have obviously seen it, Gary. You've had a moment, you watch it, and I stood there and just paused and watched what was going on. And they throw these things in the air that make a like whistling. And as they throw them up in the air, everyone looks up. And I didn't. I carried on looking down. And all these guys just nicking stuff and off.
Where's this, man?
In Barcelona, Las Ramblas. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah,
they're like little kind of whistling toys. They throw them. And as they throw them up, everyone looks up. And then they just rifle people's bags.
It was the same when we went to Dublin. I would have thought it when I was in Dublin. It was a real eye-opener, actually. We were just hounded kind of constantly in Dublin, and we found this little cafe, and we decided to sit outside because me and Helen both smoked back then. So we thought, we'll sit outside, have a cigarette. And the waitress came over and she said to us straight away, she said, I'll serve you out here. She said, but your camera bag's there. She said, put that camera bag on the floor.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame, and that's not going back to kind of why I don't like street photography, but sometimes I just don't like people, and I don't mean that horrible, but I just when I go out with my camera, I just want to go out and just totally switch off. I just want to go out with perhaps one other person or on my own, and even though I'm not hugely into beach photography, for me it's there's nothing better than being on a beach just before sunrise and being the only person there. And then just watch the sun just literally come above the horizon. I just find it so peaceful then. So for me to perhaps go to a city after a hard week's work and then go out on a Saturday into a city, that wouldn't be unwinding for me. That'd be more stressful than it's worth.
I can still understand the excitement of it all because it's so unpredictable, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of street photography.
Each to their own. Everyone, has to feel comfortable. But as I say, for me, I was born in London, I lived in London, I worked in London up to the age of about 32, 33. I had 30 years of the rat race, and now I know London's a great place, but for a day out once a year, go and see a show, go and see the matinee, go and get an evening meal, get the train home. That's enough for me.
I've been to London twice. I have no plans to go a third time.
Yeah.
Doesn't interest me whatsoever.
I'm exactly the same as you, Darren. I used to work in London before all this, a couple of days a week, and I used to, what was it, about 5 or 6 years ago, I was down there every day of the week. And actually, when you're actually down there working every day, the lifestyle is brilliant. You know, if you're a young guy, the lifestyle in London is fantastic. It really is. The nightlife, you know, you knock off work at 4 or 5 o'clock, everybody's in the pub, everybody's 2 or 3 pints before they hit the tubes and head back, and you know, the atmosphere is great. But because I guess I was born and bred in the middle of bloody nowhere, yeah. So to me, experiencing that on a day trip or on a work is fine, but I wouldn't want to go out and spend my free time wandering in a busy place like that. I just want to get out in the middle of nowhere and get the peace and quiet of the landscape. Really,
I always remember a friend of mine who lives in the Lake District, and that's how I met him, because he came down to London to work. And at the time, we was quite young. I think I was 18 when I met Sam, and Sam was about 23. And I always remember Sam saying that if you, say, live in London, he was referring to London, but I'm guessing you're talking about any major city, really. He said, if you live in London and you've got money, he said, you can have a fantastic life. He said, but if you've got no money, then it's hard. He said, in the Lake District, if you've got money in the Lake District, you can have an amazing life. But if you're completely broke living in the Lake District, you can still have a fantastic life, getting out into the fields, bit of rock climbing, bit of walking, and I totally get that.
Yeah. You've just took me back to Dublin there, Darren, when you mentioned about different classes of people. We got to Dublin, we'd only been there, I've been about 8 times, and we'd only been there about an hour and a half on this occasion. And we'd gone into this park, because I used to have a wee doob back then. I thought, I'll go and make myself a nice little 2-skinner, you know, and off we go. Anyway, there was these tramps in the corner. Can't call them tramps these days, but that's what they were back then.
You just have.
Too late.
Well, you know, they were, but they weren't homeless people. They were hardened. I'll tell you why they were hardened and why I probably called them that. Is you're watching them and I'm observing there, and I'm just sat there chilling, watching. The sun's coming over. This guy grabs a pigeon, snap, in a bag. What? And I'm watching there, and he runs after another, grabs a pigeon, snap. He's not, is he? Half an hour later, I'm still sat there observing. Little campfire going, little spit.
No.
Pigeon.
Fried pigeon.
No.
When you said snap, I thought you were taking a photograph on it.
It was Bear Grylls on a city break.
So here's the thing that worries me, right? So Mally's there, and he observes this guy snap, breaks a pigeon's neck, and then he observes another guy snap, breaks a pigeon's neck, and you're still there half an hour afterwards. I'll be like, I'm out of here, mate. This is way too dodgy for me.
I love life. I love watching people in Liverpool.
Yeah, mate. I tell you what, I'm with Darren, because no one's ever tried to nick my wallet up the glidders.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You've got to have a wallet. You've got to have a wallet for that. I've never had a bean rubbed together, nor a wallet. What's a wallet?
There you go. I'm with Mally on that. I think that's probably why we feel safe, because we're probably as poor as they are. Moving on. I've got another question. Because I'm full of them this week, so I had nothing else to do. What about this, right? What about people who take pride in saying that camera there, that photo there, straight out of camera. Did no editing on that. Didn't have to do any editing. What about that?
The thing is, you can usually tell which comes through out of the camera as well.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Do you know? Don't.
Come on.
Is it my turn this week?
Come on. What
the hell's that about? You've spent all this money on a camera for then not touch a RAW file. What?
People just don't understand. RAW it's a digital negative. It's there to be processed. It's some sort of purity in it, big stance.
I think it's saying I'm that good I am that I don't even need to touch this RAW file. I'm that good.
It says to me that you're a prat for even pointing it out.
That's me waving goodbye to just a couple of sobs. See you later, cockers.
So come on, Bally, let's have your real thoughts on that. I mean, don't sit on the fence. Tell us what you really think.
It's utter nonsense, isn't it? It's utter nonsense. That's like saying, I'll get this roll of film, but I won't develop it. I'll use a magic eye to look inside it. Oh, look at the film inside. I won't develop the film. Let's look at the film. It's absolute nonsense. You got a RAW file. It's flat. It needs something. Even if you take away saturation, even if you don't add any sharpening, we're all talking about sharpening. You get a RAW file, and when you put it in Lightroom, it puts 40% on it straight away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I've started altering that.
It doesn't have to.
No, you can.
4% what? What's that, sorry?
So when
What's
I
that?
import my photos into Lightroom now, I have a flat profile. I also put my metadata on, so every set of images I put on, But if you've never done that and you put your images a RAW file, so when they say straight out of camera, it's actually been sharpened by Lightroom. So they're even wrong there, aren't they? They're even. Oh, I've not touched it. No, Lightroom did it for you, you bellend. Honestly, what's that all about? I know. You know what, Gary? It's shocking, isn't it? It's shocking.
So Gary, where did you read things like that? On what type of forums and things are you looking at for that? Because clearly it's not in the ones that reasonable photographers that know what they're doing are going to comment on.
Well,
Facebook called Let's Create.
Yeah, I tell you what, you would be surprised. You'd be surprised. There are some very, very good, well-known vloggers, shall we say, who absolutely. How can I put this? They absolutely try to convince us that they've done very, very little to some of their images, when they haven't done very, very little to some of their images. And
oh yes,
yeah. And I actually look at it, and when I see something that when they say, "Oh, did nothing to this," I actually feel sorry for them, because I'm like, well, it's kind of a half-finished image then in that case, because you could do so much more with a bit of processing. You could elevate that image so much more with a bit of processing. So to say you did nothing with it is a bit sad, really. But there are people out there definitely who will say they've done nothing when they have done stuff as well.
They've never run round in a dark room looking for a block of wood. That's what they've never done. So you put an image on an enlarger. They've never run round and thought, shit, I need a moon shape. No, I need a zigzag. Let me just cut this out of a piece of card. Ooh, there. That's what they've never done. They think, touching it in digital land is cheating. But what do they think the other photographers did in a dark room? Sat there with an enlarger and went, click. Yeah, that's my picture done. They spent hours layering papers, layering and getting shade and light and dark, or burning and dodging. Isn't it? I must say
though, you can still get a good image even with simple basic alterations and adjustments.
Yes, touching,
slight touches, because it's all about subtlety. And it is a good photographer who brings out an image based it on the conditions and the light and that exact moment. And all it needs a few tweaks in contrast, saturation, little bits.
I'll be honest. If you're not pushing your sliders to 100, you're not doing your job. Simple as that. If you're not going like that, your sliders should be going like that.
Yeah, highlights down.
Yeah, highlights down, shadows up, saturation.
There's your dynamic range.
Dehaze. If you don't knock your dehaze up by 50%, it's not shot.
What do you think about photographers who apply same levels and standard in processing to all the images? So they've got a standard set. Standard procedure.
I think it can work on some instances. Not. I think the vast minority that it actually works. But there's a guy. I won't kind of mention his name. But there's a guy on Instagram that's got a very unique style. And all of his images are very blue. They're very, very cool.
Split toning. Split toning, basically.
I can tell who this guy is straight away without even looking at his name. But I just think his images are fantastic. Every single one, even though they're almost processed, almost with his own, possibly an own preset, but they just look amazing. So I think sometimes it can work if you're after a particular style of photography.
I think if you've got a preset that like a starting point, like you're saying, this guy's, photographs are blue, so there may be a preset that just drops the temperature down a bit. That's fine, but I don't think that unless you're literally taking the shots in a controlled environment where the light is exactly the same every single time you go, you can't just bung a preset on and say that'll do, because some days are darker than others. Some days you might need to work on the shadows a bit more, or some days you might need to work out them. Look at Dave, right? Dave's a classic example, in my opinion. No, you are, Dave. He's a classic example of, he's got a preset that he starts off with, but look at if you watch his videos, all the little alterations he does to bring out the beauty in his photos, the detail, those little local adjustments that he does. That for me is an absolute skill. It doesn't mean that he can't take a good photo in the first place. It doesn't mean that his photos are no good out the camera. It just means that he goes that extra mile to make them even better. And that's the thing for me.
That's what presets are for, though. Surely it puts your standard style to it, and then you adjust it depending on the light or the circumstances in which you took it. Surely, that's what it's about.
Personality as well. What he felt with that image, I guess.
Yeah, I do have a particular look that I go for every time. There's no two ways about it. I mean, to me, to be honest, if somebody was able to look at my image and go, yeah, that's a Griffiths, I'd be quite happy with that accolade. Yeah. I would be.
Yeah, I agree.
Woodland's a good genre for getting a preset or getting a style to. You look at a lot of woodland photographers. A lot of them keep a very similar sort of desaturated style. Paul Johnson, for instance, he talked about it recently on a vlog I watched about having a preset that gives you a certain starting point that is then your woodland style, and then you do your minor tweaks to it. But it gives you if you've got a consistency in the types of things you're shooting, then a consistency in style of processing, I think, probably works.
Absolutely,
that's a good point.
Absolutely, but not a preset and stop there. Like you said, it's a starting point. So.
As you said, you can't use a preset and stop there because of the simple reason you said earlier. Light is going to be different. But I think, to be honest with you, I don't use presets. The only preset that I use now and again is actually in Lightroom, because you've got some generic presets in there, and one of them is landscape, which just enhances the colours a little bit. And now and again I might click on that, but that's the only preset that I use.
I suppose there is some argument, depending on what your output and your end result's going to be. If, for instance, you're going to produce a book or a collection of images, then you want some form of continuity, don't you?
Yeah,
and that's
definitely.
where presets and similar.
The only reason I don't use a preset is I don't know how to set one up. I wish I did. It saved me bloody hours sometimes.
Preset though could be like, I think David's preset, it could be as simple as you just applying the minimal beginning of sharpening and your metadata. Like myself, I like to just push the sliders on my sharpening and just because I know the D750 does have a bit of noise, and I've figured it out where I can just put them at the beginning, which saves me time on 1,000 images off a shoot. So there's presets and presets where you're applying a look and a feel, a LUT, if you like, or you're applying like a basic every time.
I think if you take Gary's starting point in this particular discussion, that people that seem to think you get a medal for producing an image that's SOOC, you get the medal for the SOOC of the week. But the fact remains that it's much, much easier to come away from
straight out of camera.
Oh, well done.
Carry on, Dave.
I've lost my thread. No, I haven't. So let's be fair. we can all go out in the field, stick our camera on a tripod, work the exposure triangle, and come home with a half decent set of pixels. And we talked earlier about the quality of our kit and all that sort of thing. The fact remains, you come home with a raw file. What you then do with it, if we all started with exactly the same raw file, I suspect that we would have 6 wildly different final results because of all manner of different things. Because what you do, the minute you go into Lightroom and then Photoshop or whatever processing software you use, the permutations are myriad. You can do anything to it. You can do all sorts of things to it. And I have to say, one of the things that is a bit tedious, people say, oh, well, if you've got a photography channel and you vlog, nobody watches the processing videos. And quite rightly, because why should they? At the end of the day, there's only so much you can go, well, I moved this slider this way and I did that and I lifted the highlights and dropped the shadows and yada, yada, yada. The creativity is a personal thing. And you can't say to somebody, here's my palette, here's my paints, and here's my Mona Lisa. You just kind of have to feel your way through to it. And you don't ever achieve some kind of nirvana where I'm sure none of us, despite all our, many years, we go, yeah, well, I'm now at the ultimate of my craft. Every single time you sit there with a raw file, you're starting from scratch. And you get to the end of it and you go, yeah, I'm happy with that. I'll put it on Facebook. Or you go, well, that's never going to see the light of day. And so that's what I love about photography is that whole thing about I've spent some time up a mountain or on the coast. I've had a wonderful day out. And now I've got another 3 hours of mucking about with all these raw files. How brilliant is that? And people say, I don't want to spend much time in front of the computer. Well, mate, I spend my time in front of a computer for a living. And when I've got a weekend full of raw files, I'm as happy as a pig in shit.
Right, okay, well, hope you all enjoyed a fun-filled other episode. I'm drained. Just like to say that we are going nowhere, by the way. We're having good fun, and I'm sure you're all enjoying it as well. So, thanks for watching, and just like to end it all by saying, keep smiling. Bye-bye for now.
Keep smiling.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.